When you're starting your virtual assistant business, your first couple clients aren't going to be your forever clients. Maybe you don't end up loving them. Maybe you outgrow them. Maybe you go different directions. Maybe you have irreconcilable differences or whatever that divorce reason that all those celebrities come up with. And so if you have multiple clients, it makes it way smoother to slowly drop one and replace it, because that client isn't your everything.
Hey, Laptop Freedom Babes, Wonderlust.
This is Hello from Greece.
Hello.
Wanderlusters. Welcome to today's Cocktails and Coaching. We have red wine with us. We're sitting in front of a window, so I look washed out. The alternative was that was in the dark. My ring light stopped working. So now we're using Mother Nature's ring light, which is a little bright. Super excited. So hello, anyone who is new to the group. We welcomed a lot of new members, which is exciting. I am Rebecca. I am the Wonderlust VA. And every Wednesday I do cocktails and coaching, and I choose a topic to do a free training on around virtual assisting. Hi, Elise! Yay! And please say hi if you're watching. Let me know if you're joining me for happy hour or where you're watching from. Anything is nice so that, I see the people are there. So today's cocktails and coaching topic is going to be around multiple VA clients versus one VA client. I personally have done both. Savvy, you look fabulous. Look at that glow. Look at that washout. Thanks, Savvy. You are the best. So if you have a drink, take a sip and we'll get started. I think my red wine is 1884. It's covered in flour because only today did I buy a rolling pin for making pizza dough. I've been using wine bottles like a true pizza eating alcoholic. Just kidding. To be rolling out my pizza dough. So I think the label said 1884, but it's really just covered in flour right now. Amazing. Okay, so I've got some notes here. I first want to kind of talk about what is a normal number of clients. The normal number, and this is based on, there's sort of two avenues here. So there's project-based VAs that just do like multiple projects. Like they might help build a website and then leave. They might design a logo and then leave. And then they might help build out an online course and then leave. Those type of VAs, those project-based VAs, are going to see many, many, many clients throughout the year. So they're going to have a higher number of clients, which is as expected and normal, right? The other side is sort of VAs that have consistent, recurring clients. And the normal number of how many clients is anywhere from like 1 to 9. Seriously. Which is a pretty big scope. And I've never had 9, but I've seen women have 9 clients and I think, oh my gosh, how on earth do they do it? But they just do. And in fact, they quite loved it. So that's like the normal range of how many clients you're going to have. And then if you've got more than 9, you're probably a project-based VA anyway. So nothing is abnormal. What I do want to talk about today though is the pros and cons between having one client and having multiple clients. Like I said, I've done both. So when I started my virtual assistant business, I had one big client. They were big enough that I was able to leave my 9 to 5, which was great. They absolutely served their purpose and it was awesome. And it was very sort of familiar to what it felt like to have a 9 to 5 sort of. So it was a very great transition for me. However, one of the big things I was trying to get away from when I wanted to leave my 9 to 5 was all my eggs in one basket. As you guys all know, my story is that I worked in the film industry, and film industry is very contract based. You like work on one movie and then another, and I got fired from like one of the biggest producers in the city. And it pissed me off. It really pissed me off that like someone could suddenly just be like, hey, I'm going to stop paying you and I'm going to like not let you do your job anymore. And I was like, fuck you. And so that was a big push for me to start working for myself, as I didn't know at the time what virtual assisting was. I was like, I got to start working for myself. So having one client, one big client, although it is very familiar to like having a 9 to 5, there's still that lack of diversity, all of those eggs in one basket. So it's really, really awesome when you're starting your virtual assistant business if you are fortunate, if some people consider it fortunate, I should be careful with my language, fortunate enough to land like an anchor, like a big client that you can then sort of have supporting clients around. Now, a really good analogy for this is think of shopping malls. Okay, so every time you go to a shopping mall, there is what they call an anchor store. That is like it's like the Walmart, the Target, the big, huge drugstore, whatever it is. That's like the anchor store. And then there's all these little specialty stores that are like branching off from around that big anchor store. And the purpose of that in sort of a shopping economy is that people arrive they go for Target, and then what they can't find at Target, they find in little specialty stores down the row, right? Does that shopping analogy make sense? Let me know. I'm going to take a sip. So it is nice to have a big client, but having one client only just does not quite diversify your portfolio. Now, if your virtual assistant business is a side hustle, then hell yeah, absolutely, right? You might want just like one big side hustle client because you've got your 9 to 5 or your other source of income, whatever the hustle is, the side of. Whatever the motorcycle is, and your side hustle is like the sidecar with like dog with goggles and a scarf, you know what I mean? That's your VA side hustle. Or it's like your full vehicle that you are traveling your income through, right? So that's sort of my opinion around having one big client. Like, yeah, it's familiar. Sometimes when we land it, we're like, woohoo, I'm done. I'm leaving my 9 to 5, which was exactly my story. And then very quickly I was like, okay, this client actually is going to be my big box store client. They're going to be my target. And then I'm going to trickle little clients around them for these next few reasons that I'm going to tell you about. One, which is what we're kind of segueing off to right now very naturally, is diversifying your income. Having multiple streams of income creates more security. So that, let's say a pandemic hits and your big box store client shuts down and has to let go of their contractors, you're not totally left in the dust. Which, if you're fired from a 9 to 5, you know exactly how that feels. And that was one of those like low moments in my life where, and like, I gotta tell you guys, I am like straight A student. I was like picture perfect. So getting fired from a job, I was like, what? But it was a really good learning lesson that I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to start working for myself and I need to diversify my sources of income. So multiple clients diversify your sources of income. An example of this is there is a virtual assistant who went through the Laptop Freedom program pre-pandemic. She had 3 clients. One of her clients was a yoga studio. Pandemic hit, yoga studio shut down, let go of her. It's okay. Her boat was still afloat because she had 2 other clients. And then she just filled that 3rd slot with someone else. So it was okay. It wasn't like she was super dependent on this one yoga studio client. Now, we don't necessarily grow up thinking this way. When we think of diversify, when we think about eggs in baskets, we think of a stock portfolio, right? We don't think of like our actual job. We're like, what do you mean? Like, my 9 to 5 is so secure. I have a pension. I have a 401k. I go 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I listen to the same 2 talk show people on the radio every morning of my commute. This routine is so secure. Wrong. Not necessarily, right? So multiple clients diversifies your source of income, which is great. This is really, really great. The other thing it diversifies is your experience. So it can be like if you are someone with like multiple interests and you've got like one client that you do design stuff for, one client that you do like social media for, and another client that you do analytics for. Cool. That really diversifies your experience, which only makes you better and stronger as a virtual assistant. The more you know, the higher the value of your services, the higher you can charge. So wouldn't that be great if you had a client that you did that, I don't know, let's use examples of clients. Let's say you have a client that's like a Wall Street accountant, very like that person, and you learn some really cool stuff with that guy or woman. And then you have this like hippie retreat mindset, body positive author as your other client. And you're like learning some cool stuff with that person as well. And together you're like, oh, hey, client A, I've got some really cool things I've learned from client B that I can help you with. So that makes me more valuable. And it's like, oh, hey, client B, I learned some things from client A that like suddenly I'm way more valuable. And then you can really sort of be increasing your rates and your value and your experience and having more fun too. I think it's just a lot more fun to kind of have a variety of things that you're doing. A lot of the time, we're looking to escape our 9 to 5 or start a side hustle because we're bored. We're so bored. It's like our brains are melting into glasses of wine and Netflix. So we want to wake up. We want to be like excited. We want to have challenges every day. We want to be thinking and exercising our brains. So diversifying what you do and who you work with is super fun. It's fun to have a variety of clients. Like this client sells disco ball planters, and this client offers services in beautifying hydrants in towns. I don't know. I literally just like made some of that stuff up. Not all of it, believe it or not. So that can be really fun as well, diversifying your experience. Okay. Right. This is another great thing about having multiple clients. This is a big one. And it kind of segues into the first one too. I should have put my notes in different orders, but oh well. When we are starting our virtual assistant business, there's a really good chance our first couple clients aren't going to be our forever clients. Guess what I'm going to say next? It's a lot like dating, right? We don't marry the first person we go on a date with. Heck, we don't marry the first long-term relationship we've had sometimes, right? And so there's a really good chance that when you're starting your virtual assistant business, your first couple clients aren't going to be your forever clients. Maybe you don't end up loving them. Maybe you outgrow them. Maybe you go different directions. Maybe you have irreconcilable differences or whatever that divorce reason that all those celebrities come up with. And so if you have multiple clients, it makes it way smoother to slowly drop one and replace it, because that client isn't your everything, right? You haven't like bought a dog together, had kids together, signed a mortgage together, got joint bank accounts together, whatever, right? And so like leaving that client or moving on from that client breaking up with that client isn't as detrimental to your overall business if you have multiple clients. So it makes perfecting your client roster, if that's something you can even do, way easier, because you're only dropping one client at a time, but you still have other clients. Right? Is that making sense? Cool. So then this kind of segues into this as well. I'm using that word a lot. And every time I use it, I like picture one of those little scooters with wheels on either side. I've never driven one, but I'd probably fall flat on my face. The other sort of incremental beauty of having multiple clients is raising your rates. So if you have sort of an income goal for your business and you need to raise your rates in order to get there, you can raise your rates at different times with different clients. You're going to hear me say this all the time. You do not need to charge all your clients the same thing. They don't all call each other up and ask like, hey, so what kind of package is Rebecca doing with you and what is she charging you? No, they don't talk to each other. They don't nothing. Like your first client, think of your first client, you're going to charge them one thing and then you're going to learn so much, which increases the value of your services. And so your second and third, and you don't have to charge them all the same amount, right? But when you go to raise your rates, it's just a way smoother process if you've got different clients at sort of different times of your relationship with them and can be raising them at different times. Does that make sense? If you're just like, hey, I have one client, it's like, boom, I'm going to raise my rates. And they're like, I don't like it. You're like, kind of shot myself in the foot with that one, didn't I? So it's increased security. I hope you all see that. With multiple clients, it's increased security. It's a bit more fun. It's probably a little less stressful when it comes to sort of finances and security and all that kind of stuff. So let me know if you have any questions about that. To sum up what I've said, it's like one client versus multiple clients. I think the perfect equation is like a big box store client, your Target, your Walmart client, and then your like stationery store, your bookstore, your maternity clothes, your like whatever those little boutique-y, niche-y shops that always are surrounding Target or a Walmart, right? So that's kind of nice. Or you can have multiple clients you could have 3 clients that each are like 33.3% of your time. That's great too. That's super fun. It kind of helps you divide it. So let me know if you've got any questions. Carol has a large red wine. Yes, sister. Cheers. So before I sort of turn off, there's a couple questions that came up on Instagram stories. So I put a question box, and this is something I'm going to start to do. A question box on the topic that I'm going to be doing today if you want to ask any specific questions. And I'm just going to kind of raffle through them really quickly. One was, how do you prioritize multiple clients? Like whoever you like more, whoever's paying more? And I thought that was a really interesting question because I think what's healthiest for everyone is that you can have like favorite children, but we're not supposed to. You know what I mean? Because having favorite children makes parenting more toxic. So although, yeah, you're going to have some clients that bring you more joy or pay you more, the rule of thumb is equally fulfill your packages and equally meet your deadlines. So if you've got conflicting clients when it comes to deadlines, then that is, I would probably be like, this client asked me first kind of thing. And so, but I think you're going to see that you'll feel very empowered with sort of arranging the schedule. If you've got 2 clients launching at the same time, maybe that's when like launching a product at the same time and it becomes really busy. Maybe that's when you explore bringing on a subcontractor or something really fun, right? Or maybe that's when you renegotiate your prices and packages, something like that. So that's one of those bridges that everyone's going to cross uniquely if that time ever comes. The other question that came up was, can you have multiple clients from multiple countries? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. You can have clients from any country, from as far as I know, from like any country. Because when it comes to taxes, remember they're income taxes. So it's like, okay, where are you, like what citizen and where are you in the world when you have money coming in, income coming in? That's what it gets taxed on. So it gets taxed on in whatever currency it gets translated to you, right? So you don't have to worry about your client's taxes. It's like what money comes in to you, you get taxed on that. The other thing with having clients from multiple countries is time zones. Just be aware of time zones. So it could be really, really exciting to have a client in London, but when you look at the time zones, it's like, oh, our monthly meeting is at 2 a.m. That's not okay. Or you might be like, hot danny damn, my client is in Japan and the time zones are like perfectly mirrored from one another. So every time I get up to work, my client is sleeping and they don't bother me and I wake up to all these organized requests, whatever. So you can absolutely have clients in multiple countries. And then just be aware of time zones, currency. It might not serve you to have a client in a currency that's lower than yours. Things to think about. Okay? Things to think about. So I hope this really helps. And cheers. Thank you for joining. Thank you for commenting. It was so nice to see people chatting with me. And I hope that really got some clarity between having multiple clients versus having one big client. And you know what? I've done both. One's not wrong. Like if one big client lands in your lap and you're like, yes, 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 girl, go for it. Go for it. Get your target. And then we'll talk about getting your little antique bookstore just to like diversify. So I hope that was really helpful and thank you for joining. Bye.